What up, y'all? All right, we're doing a little autopsy here. So, as many of you know, TJ and I switched to Kudu broadheads and a much heavier arrow setup this year, and I'm shooting a 485 grain arrow with 125 grain Kudu, single bevel, two blade cut on contact broadhead, single piece. And we've been really interested in making that switch and learning about it, and basically taking the approach of hugging the shoulder to really make sure that we get in there. We have seen our killing efficiency go up for sure. These things are lethal. We don't have near the issues that we would have in the past with mechanical broadheads and such. So just doing a little bit of autopsy on this mature doe that I shot, and wanted to show everybody kind of what these things are capable of. So this deer I shot, it was right underneath me, so it was close range, but the way that this broadhead went right through the scapula, we talk about hugging that shoulder, and we've all heard nightmare stories about, shoulder shots and nicknaming people shoulder shot, blah, blah, blah. And, we've all had that happen to us for sure. So with this deer, almost right below me, and I had to shoot through a cedar tree, which again, expandable would not be able to pull that off. I shot through this cedar tree and I just aimed square right between the shoulders. And I just on my side of the spine, actually. I didn't aim for the center, I aimed for just the side. And the deer ran 50 yards and crashed in sight, as 3 of our deer have done this year with the Kudus and hugging the shoulder. So with the angle, come over here, TJ. With the angle that this deer was, it would have been facing about like this, to where the deer's facing this way, and I was shooting down onto it. As you can see, that Kudu head, you can see the hair, and that's the top of the shoulder blade. You can see that hair, and you can see where the Kudu went through. On the back side, you can see the hair and where the Kudu went through. So I think it's one thing, and I'm not an engineer, I don't know the ins and the outs of this, but it's one thing to be able to punch through that shoulder at a perpendicular angle. I feel like you could do that pretty easily with some momentum and energy. But to be able to come through the top and not glance down, I know that a mechanical would lose so much energy upon hitting the hide and the hair that I can't imagine that it would punch through that shoulder blade. It might, because it was close range, but you'd have to be shooting a lot and you'd have to have a heavy arrow for sure. I think it's pretty impressive that at this angle, that broadhead went straight through there and didn't deflect down along the bone, which would just have created a flesh wound, and the deer would still be alive. If that broadhead would have glanced down and just went along that shoulder, this deer would be alive right now, and we wouldn't be harvesting another animal to keep. So that's our Kudu broadhead experience. Never mind the nick on the thumb. And they've been great this year. We've seen similar other instances, and the autopsies have always revealed some pretty impressive damage. One of the does that TJ shot, the opposing shoulder right here in this chunk of meat, it looked like somebody took a 2-inch hole saw and just took a chunk out. You could see all the way through, a whole bat like that, 2-inch hole saw right through it, which was impressive too. So anyway, I'm gonna clean this up and get it in the fridge. That's one of the things that we've learned this year. Heavy broadheads, fixed broadheads, heavy arrows, maximum penetration, momentum. Check out the podcast on the DIY Sportsman too, by the way, where Garrett and I talked about that pretty extensively. Happy hunting the rest of the year. Hopefully we see you at ATA.